From Cornwall to Birmingham and Johnston and Bexhill, here's Ruben Spar on the radio.
Brilliant.
Hello to Lacus Spei. How are you today?
Good morning.
Good
Yeah,
morning.
very good.
We're
Very
great.
well.
Yeah, happy to be here.
So, can you tell me how did your group come about?
Wow. It was through an app, a musical app called BandLab, and we were living in separate countries on either side of the Great Atlantic Pond, and I came across Alice's music just by chance and thought it was very, very different, and just messaged, said, "Hey, I find you very different, very engaging," and started from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So we started by collaborating on this online platform. And basically, like, say David would record a guitar track and a lead vocal track, and then I would add backing to it or something like that. So we weren't able to make music in the same room for quite a while. But yeah, we were able to collaborate that way. And that was where it all started in 2019.
So, I picked a couple of tracks out. So, can you tell me more about Maybe So?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was a little bit one of those to and fro ideas, and it was based on the old adage, "Who can know everything?" And maybe they do know everything, and it's like flip sides of who can know, maybe so, you just don't know, and all the lyrics in that are sort of like leading to that sort of question, who can know?
Yes, and I'll add to that. David had the idea of the first line and of the idea of that it's a song about opposites. And then, sort of I wrote out a bunch of the remaining lyrics, and then we kind of collaborated on figuring out how it all wanted to be and, figuring out how it would fit essentially. But yeah, one thing that was in my head with that too was the story of the Chinese farmer and the idea of how sort of something can flip on a dime and you don't really ever know if something's good or if it's bad. So that's also where the maybe so idea was coming in.
So, can you tell me more about Lover's Prayer?
Absolutely. Yeah. So that was one that I originally wrote as a song on the keyboard, on the piano keyboard. And it was almost like a classical piece. And I wrote that in 2020, and it was in response to David had just lost his mom and his dad and his aunt actually not long before that, and we were not able to be together at the time because of the pandemic and the difficulties and traveling and all of that stuff at the time. And so it was coming out of the feeling of when somebody that you love is in pain and you know that they're in pain and all that you want to do is to be able to kind of make that better. And that was where those words came out of. And then we revisited that together and changed it into almost like a very gentle kind of like country lullaby ballad, which is where it is now with the guitar, and kind of changed up some of the melody of it to make it fit that.
No, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So, as you know, we've got a bit of rain in the UK, so tell me more about Georgia's rain.
Well, Georgia Rain was came about last Christmas. I was actually in Georgia with my family, well, my sister's family, and I was just walking about, and I was like, wouldn't it be cool to write a country-ish song in the sort of heartland of where all, pretty much most of that, not all of it, but some of that came out of, and yeah, it just wrote itself. It was one of those that didn't take a lot of effort.
So, can you tell me more about your home studio that you got?
Very, very simple laptop, audio interface, microphones, which we have upgraded and are giving a much better sound. We've got a nice collection of guitars and a keyboard. And a MIDI keyboard that's just hell to use, so we don't really bother with that so much. It's too sensitive.
Oh, no, yeah, that's a tough one. You have to really bang on the keys to get it to make any sound, which isn't great. Uh, but yeah, no, the rest
It's
of it.
a very humble setup. It's a lot more of a step up from when we used to record on just our mobile phone devices and use the apps through there and using the microphone on the phone, which in hindsight was not the best idea, but it was a good start.
Good start, yes. The only way is up.
Exactly.
Absolutely that, yeah.
So, Katie, more about your debut album, Alight In The Dark.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's a selection of songs that we've written together really over the past year. I mean, we started writing them around last December. So it's been, about a year kind of in the making, all told. And they're just songs, a lot of them were coming out of a place of pain or sadness or grief or loneliness or, that type of thing. And a lot of them were sort of trying to find a way through that or finding some kind of hope or positivity or kind of light, I guess, through that. So that's where the title came from, and that's sort of the through line, I guess, of
It's
the
the
album
thread
as a
of
whole.
most of the
Yeah.
songs. There's
Yeah.
there's sadness and sort of like mixed, as our lives are, sadness and happiness.
Completely.
Finding a way. And the title was based upon an idea of an eclipse. You probably remember the eclipse in '99.
Yeah, I worked in it, yeah.
Yeah.
In Cornwall, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I was in Plymouth at the time, and just everything going very, very dark, and all the birds just stop, and then all of a sudden it breaks out with light again. So yeah, it was, yeah, but night today.
Very unreal.
Yes. Very strange.
So, what are your plans for writing any new music in a new future?
We've already started. I mean, we always have ideas, even if it's just a couple of lines. Leave that, come back to it.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've written a few new songs recently, kind of since releasing Alight In The Dark. And also have some bits that we're hoping to turn into full songs over time. So definitely in that process.
Yeah, we're still going. I think
yeah,
it's always going. It's not done that finish. It's just constant, even if it's just a few lines. Like I'll walk about the neighborhood just jotting down stuff that I see.
Yeah, we made a song just out of that recently, just out of these observations that David wrote down while he was on walks around the neighborhood. So that was pretty cool. Yeah. And the other night, I think last week, we were up until like 2 a.m. writing a new song because, we had an idea.
And we were in it.
Yeah, and we were in
Get it done.
So we were like, okay, let's stick with this. So yeah, it's been pretty good.
So, can you tell me more about being an independent artist?
Absolutely. I guess that I would say, it is one of those things where it's really cool because we have total creative control. I mean, everything on the album that we just released is our creation, really. From start to finish, what it sounded like, what the mix is like. Do we want to adjust these lyrics? Do we want to add some backing in here? Do we XYZ? And so that's really, really cool. And then I think, the flip side of that, or maybe not even the flip side, has just been kind of like finding a little bit of a path with that and what that wants to look like. And so there's been a lot of hours of looking at, lists of independent radio stations who will take music submissions from independent artists and submitting to them and sending out CDs and, things like that. And it's pretty cool, really, the amount of great feedback and the amount of success that we've had with that so far, even just kind of doing it ourselves. So that's been really encouraging and exciting. And, and I guess it is just a question of kind of continuing to do that work and find what those pathways are and the people who really want to listen and like what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, would you like to we release a new album in the near future?
I can't see why not. I don't think it will be too long. I think once we get into the groove of it, it will just gather pace.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I think very much so. And we have ideas too. Like we want to do a cover album at some point in the future. But I think for right now, we're really enjoying writing our own stuff. So probably the next one will still be our own stuff. But then we also do have we have a whole list written down of songs that we want to do on a cover album. So there are a lot of ideas. Yeah. And just like David said, it's just sometimes a question of having even a good few days where we can just really get into the groove of it and kind of, knock some songs out and feel like we, have that time and space to do that.
And finally, can you tell my listeners where can they find you on social media?
Yeah, absolutely. So our band, I'm going to pronounce this differently. I'm going to pronounce it Lacus Spei, but Lacus Spei is, I think, the overall consensus we've got, and that's also great. But our band can be found on Facebook. We have a Facebook page. So if you search us up there, we're findable. We have a Spotify page, of course, a Spotify artist page where you can find all of our tracks and our full album. You can find us on BandLab. You can find us on YouTube Music, and our album's available on kind of all the platforms. So, Amazon Music, YouTube Music.
And it's free.
Yes, it is free. You can get it on Apple Music. So all of the things. But yeah, in terms of social media, we have a Facebook page. We do have a very rudimentary Twitter page, but not really in the groove of that quite yet. We're just kind of still joining the 21st century. We're in the process of kind of building a website. So we'll kind of update when that is up and running. And that's the main social media for right now.
Thank you for letting me both chat to you today.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
Thank you. You too.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.